Joining us now, State Senator Shenandoah Valley and some of Northern Virginia, Republican Jill Vogel. She is also one of three candidates running for Lieutenant Governor. Those three candidates are Jill Vogel, Bryce Reeves, and Glenn Davis. They're Republicans that the nomination will be settled in a June 13th primary. There's no runoff. Plurality wins. You get 34%, and the other two get 33%. You win. So that's how it is. And she is joining us now. Senator Vogel, it's been a long time. Congratulations for putting the General Assembly 2017 in the rearview mirror. Great to have you with us.
Great to be with you, and I love being invited on. I didn't have to trip in on you in Bill Stanley's office or Senator Black's office. I actually got to call in. I'm so flattered I can hardly stand it.
Well, thank you so much.
I'm thrilled
Senator,
to be on. I'm thrilled to talk about all the amazing things happening, both in the Trump administration, which gives me great cause for optimism, and more importantly, what's happening in Virginia in the 2017 races. I know.
Well, let's start.
I'm confident that you want to hear how amazing our campaign is and how we're crushing it, and so on and so forth.
Yes, I
but
do.
First of all, how are you? You're just
never
running all
better.
over DC,
never better. Good to be here. I'm in DC this week, so that's always a lot of fun. I'm not on the air Wednesday. By the way, everybody.
Stick up for my friend Sean Spicer, please. I've worked with Sean for a long, long time. He is an awesome person, and he does not deserve what the media is doing to him. So I'm thrilled to hear you sticking up for Sean.
Well, what he deserves is the truth. And
yes,
so,
exactly.
Look,
that's what we all deserve.
I've been
the truth.
critical.
Jeez.
The truth. I mean, I call it like I see it. I've been critical of some of what Reince has done. I don't want to get into it now. We don't have time, but I call it like I see it. But in the press conference yesterday, the story in Politico was just false. I mean, it's just false. And you can't even draw a dotted line to it. They just made up stuff. And so It's unbelievable
I saw that.
What is happening. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, they're saying that he was agitated and he was irritated. Not true. I mean, he was as cordial as ever. He answered your questions, and he even answered the stupid questions. And he even answered two questions the same way two times because he got the same exact questions because two of the reporters were not even paying attention, and they just had a question written down, which they asked, which had already been asked. And he was even very patient with that. I would have said, what?
Yeah, he's not an agitated kind of guy, period.
No. Anyway, that story was false. Okay, I want to get to your campaign. And, of course, before we get into all the good things happening, I got to get to the email scandal, lawsuit, whatever it is. Your opponent, State Senator Bryce Reeves, some people are familiar with this, subpoenaing two of your volunteers, Ron Hedlund and
Waverly Woods. And so I'm so glad because pointing to the beginning of this show, which is talk about the truth, that's really relevant here. So the truth is there's been no lawsuit. This was, in my view, a really sort of sad and negative turn in what should otherwise be an awesome campaign where everybody's out there talking about the positive things that they want to accomplish and that they want to do. And this has been a sideshow to distract from, what I've got, which is a winning campaign that's out there crushing it. And I've got awesome supporters who are really effective on social media and who are, building a great grassroots effort out there for me. And to pick on and harass people who are supporters and volunteers is just flat out unfair and I will say kind of shocking, given that that's not the Virginia way. That's not how people treat each other. And at least so far in this race, from the very, very beginning, I was committed to be nothing but cordial to my colleagues. We've traveled around the Commonwealth of Virginia together, the three of us, and to every corner of the state. We've done, debates and forums, and, I have maintained, a straight-up race where I've been kind to everybody, and most of all, kind to everybody's supporters. Why in the world would you pick on somebody's supporters? And I think it's just a sideshow to try to distract from, the fact we've got a great winning campaign. If you don't have anything, positive to say, then don't say anything at all. And unfortunately, I think it wasn't very fair or very, very kind to, people who are working hard to support me. Why would you pick on somebody's supporters? That's all I got to say about that. And when it comes down to the truth, none of that other sideshow stuff is either true, nor is it fair to the people who support our campaign. So there.
Senator Vogel, I agree with you there. I was shocked when I heard that the Reeves lawyers had served 2 of your volunteers with subpoenas. I mean, these are volunteers.
And without,
right?
And here's the thing you got to understand, John, that's without filing anything legitimate in court. That's no lawsuit, no nothing. There's nothing there.
And that's
really disappointing because that's not how we won Republican races. That's not what this primary should be about. And what the primary should be about is this. I'm different than anybody else running in this lieutenant governor's race. And I think that's the issue probably for my one colleague here, is that there's nothing to distinguish or differentiate him in any way I guess that he feels it's extraordinary. And so he's got to find some other hyper-negative differentiator. And I will tell you, what makes me different in this race from anybody running is that I'm the only person running who's pushed the envelope and been a doer. I'm the only one running for lieutenant governor who actually went out there and pushed bills on the rule of law and illegal immigration when no one else would touch it. And I'm the only one who was out there, introducing legislation to protect women's health, pushing back on the abortion industry. The only one. No one introduced any of those bills, ever. No one would touch them. I'm the only one running for lieutenant governor that has an A+ rating by the NRA and 100% by the VCDL. You know what? They're not talking about that. He can't talk about that. He's looking to be a negative differentiator, and I'm looking to go out there and run a positive campaign. And we're winning, and the negative isn't working, and it isn't helping. And you saw that in the straw poll we had this past weekend in Prince William, which I thought was fairly extraordinary. My colleague in this race was a Prince William County police officer. And we had a straw poll in Prince William where, everybody told me, look, you're going to get crushed because you don't have a Prince William County connection. And this is a guy with tons of Prince William County connections. And, his negative campaign will have had an impact. And we won 57% of that straw poll. And we didn't buy tickets or pack the house or do anything but just show up and campaign with a positive campaign, period. So, you know what? Negative doesn't work. Negative isn't helping. Picking on people's volunteers isn't helping. And I just got to go out there and continue to tell my positive story, which is I'm different than anybody else running in ways that really matter to folks who vote in primaries. And, the last major thing I'm proud of that's a major differentiator for me is that I'm the only one running that signed the no tax pledge. And that's a big deal. Those are the things that voters are looking for. They're not looking for political stunts and media stunts and picking on people's volunteers and, phony, made-up, email stunts. People don't believe it. People who know me and know that I have integrity and have watched me for 10 years in the legislature work on the kinds of issues that I've worked on, don't believe it. And I think the proof is bearing out in terms of the support that we're getting and the grassroots campaign that we're building and a straw poll like the one we had in Prince William. I was so incredibly grateful for the support that we got and for the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive, whether I'm in Southwest Virginia or Fairfax or Prince William or wherever we go. I think people understand that we are really different and running a different campaign that's 100% positive. And I have nothing negative to say about either one of my colleagues. Glenn Davis is a really good person, and Senator Reeves is a really good person. He's, certainly taken a totally different tactic in this campaign. It's certainly negative, and I don't believe that people appreciate that. And that's certainly bearing out right now, and it's bearing out in terms of how people react to the campaigns. And it's helping us.
I want to get back to straw poll in a minute, but here I've just got to close the loop on this lawsuit that's not a lawsuit, right? That's really what we're talking about right now, because when I questioned the Reeves campaign about this tactic, which I thought, when you serve people at their homes with subpoenas and they're volunteering for a campaign, I think you turn them into the victims because they're just volunteers. I mean, it'd been one thing if they subpoenaed your husband or Raleigh, your campaign guys,
or more important,
Pat
John,
Truman.
File, if you think that there's something legit or real, file a real lawsuit. Don't make this a media sideshow to try to distract and drag down the campaign. And frankly, attach a real negative cloud to all the campaigns. It just is just incredibly negative, and it's so unbecoming and, frankly, not ethical and not fair to all the Republicans who are out there trying to talk about their positive message and real issues. I mean, people have real challenges. I mean, we're talking about some of the most positive things that have happened in the country in years and years and years that are coming out of this this Trump administration. And the ability that Virginia's got for the first time in years and years to win statewide races, and this is what somebody wants to talk about. This is all they want to talk about. Talk about issues. Talk about tax reform. Talk about regulatory rollback. Talk about, transforming the economy and the agricultural economy in Southwest Virginia. I talk about the incredible agenda that I had just this most recent legislative session, which was the most successful legislative session I've probably ever had, when it came to, passing a massive regulatory rollback bill and, drawing from a lifetime of experience that I've had working as, Deputy General Counsel at the Department of Energy, where I was in charge of a major regulatory rollback, and, talk about the things that you've done. I was, I'm an ethics lawyer, and I worked with my colleagues in my law practice to lead the charge against the Obama administration when they were targeting Tea Party and other conservative groups, and an IRS gone wild. Let's talk about the chance that we now have to actually turn the page and do something great for Virginia and for the country, building on what the Trump administration is going to do. Why would we sit around and try to distract from this amazing message that we've got to go out there and win independents and win Democrats who, have the ability to actually see what it is that we have to offer? That when we're in charge, we have the ability to transform this economy. And with transformative leadership in 2017, with the best candidates who are running, we can win. So why would anybody want to drag down the ticket with some made-up, phony sideshow? That's the part that really I find sad and disappointing and, sort of demeaning to the larger discussion that we ought to be having. We will win. People hate the negative, and they hate the campaign stunts. And you talked about the truth. Look at the truth. And some of the things that are being said are so, not truthful that certainly it undermines the credibility of the whole thing. But, it's just a distraction, and it's disappointing. And for sure, I would never, ever go after somebody's supporters. I have embraced my colleagues in this race and all of their supporters, because at some point I want all their supporters. I'm eager to have everybody united behind a really strong ticket, no matter who wins in the race.
All right, so the last time I talked to the Reeves camp, they said a lawsuit was imminent against you. It was coming. But right now, the only lawsuit they've not filed anything, is against a bogus person that doesn't exist.
Yeah, they've not filed a lawsuit.
So they have
There's
no
no
lawsuit.
legitimate lawsuit been filed. They had an attorney, send something that was, in my mind, meant to be harassing to supporters, to try to make them be quiet, and just to try to get the media to write about something that was negative. That's it. And that's just, again, in my mind, what does that possibly do to benefit the message of our Republicans out there who are running in primaries, who want to be talking about issues that, we need to be talking about issues to win people over. And I've said over and over again, our larger, program of same-store sales ain't going to get it done this year.
Right.
We have got to go out and sell a positive message to independents and to Democrats and to, I don't care who they are, Green Party people, communists, whoever will listen, and appreciate that, we have the best solutions to transform Virginia, our economy, modernize, our tax program going forward, to roll back regulations, to save, small businesses from, literally circling the drain because of what, the Obama administration and what the current Democratic leadership has done to us. Why aren't we out there talking about that? Who in the world wants to listen to, the made-up sideshow? And it's just sad.
All right,
but it's not working.
Let me get one policy question, because I think until they file a lawsuit, just trying to follow this thing, I can't get why they served volunteers with paper. So I'm just going to put that aside right now. We're going to wait for the lawsuit and go from there. But I got one policy question. We've got about 2 minutes. So there is a number of legislators, including our outgoing governor now, that wants to revisit the Dominion Power rate deal that Senator Frank Wagner put together in 2015, because they're saying that it was predicated upon the Clean Power Bill, which is now defunct, isn't going to happen. If you're elected lieutenant governor or back in the state senate, either way, are you going to be in favor of reopening that deal, or do you think, like I do, you made a deal, you stick with it?
I think you made a deal, you stick with it.
Right. All right. Yep. I agree with that. I think you can't go back after it's been done. Because my position on it is that had it gone the opposite, and whatever cost estimates that Dominion Power had made, had they been 3x that, you wouldn't have been able to go back and change the deal, right? They simply would have made a very less profit, or maybe broke even or lost money, whatever. But to me, you make a deal, you shake hands, you sign something, it's better or worse, and costs have come down. So I'm on the same page on that.
And I think we have an extraordinary opportunity going forward with, what I hope will be statewide Republican leadership to, again, with transformative leadership, make transformative decisions about energy policy, tax policy, regulatory policy going forward that will so improve the economy in the Commonwealth of Virginia that, we have an enormous opportunity going forward. But I don't think you need to go back and, break commitments that you've made.
All right. Look, you won the straw poll in Prince William County with 57%. That is a good sign of the strength of your campaign. We've got, 3 more months? You've got a lot of forums and debates. We're going to keep playing it out. I've got you, Jill, right now.
Well, and people are responding really in a positive way just to the things we accomplished this most recent legislative session. And also, the issues that we've been championing for a long time, like redistrict reform and ethics reform and things like, CBD oil for people who are really sick, and regulatory rollback, which was an extraordinary, probably one of the biggest accomplishments of this legislative session, giving us the opportunity to kill burdensome regulations and let the legislature step in, in a bureaucracy that's running roughshod over small business. And so that's why I think that people are responding in such a positive way, and that's why when we do these debates and forums, we, get such positive feedback. And I think people are happy to hear a positive message that's inclusive and, looking to improve Virginia and make big changes in Virginia. Like, I think our tax policy, when you consider how long it's been since we've actually rolled up our sleeves and said, we're prepared to do something dramatic. Look at what North Carolina is doing with a corporate income tax at 3%. I had a bill this year that would have, put us in a very similar situation that would have returned the surplus to taxpayers. And the legislature wouldn't support it. But, if I were lieutenant governor, that's the kind of stuff I'd be pushing. And that's the kind of stuff that Virginians, small business owners and families are desperate for. They're desperate for.
All right, we're out of time.
Changes.
We're out of time, Senator. I want to thank Senator Jill Vogel for being with us. I've got in this race Jill Vogel right now is the heavy favorite. I believe unless something dramatic happens, she's likely to be the nominee. So I've got you as the favorite right now pretty substantially. I want to thank Jill Vogel for being with us. Want more information? You can go
Sign
to
everybody
Vogel.
up at vogelforvirginia.com. We want everybody's support, and I love being on. Thank you for having me, and thank you for actually having me call in and not making me just stumble into the room while you guys are having your own party without me.
That's how the last several of went, because Tommy Norman said, I guess, I would do my show in the Senate on the third floor about 3-4 times a week. And I guess one day Frank Wagner came in and did a 1-hour monologue, and Tommy said that he had enough. So no, we couldn't tell Frank Wagner where we were anymore. Well, we had to he'd say, what office are you in tomorrow?
Yeah, because then Frank won't shut up. That's right.
I know we wouldn't tell him what office we were in. Jill, I'm out of time. I gotta go. He's certainly
thanks for having me. I love talking to you.